You are listening to the It's Your Time podcast, and I'm your host, Certified Life Coach Michelle Arnold Bourque. In today's episode, I'm discussing creating abundance, lessons from Abundant Ever After. Welcome to the It's Your Time podcast, the podcast where busy professionals like you get the practical solutions and support you need to gain control of your schedule so you can strive to be the best in your career, but without the stress and overwhelm. If you're looking to increase your energy and decrease your stress, you are in the right place. Hello. Welcome back to the podcast, friends. As always, I am thrilled to be back here, hopefully helping you feel more in control of your time, your mindset, and ultimately your life. Now, if you are anything like the women that I work with, busy, high achieving, juggling a million things at once, you might be thinking, abundance, that sounds nice, but I don't have time for that right now. Listen, I get it. It's so funny because I was at a work meeting this past weekend, chatting with some colleagues, and we were talking about exactly this idea. The idea that we are the ones that have to do it all, and we never have enough time, and we're feeling stressed and burned out on the brink of, all of the fun times. And I suggested, what if we were open to receiving? Because I have to tell you, that is some of the deep work that I am doing right now. And I feel like it can be life-changing for so many of you. Like receiving help from colleagues, from partners, you name it. And probably the ultimate edge, not only receiving, but being okay with how they do the activities that help us. I know that one definitely got a response because that's where the true edge is at, right? But I promise you, it is where your next evolution can be. And I get it. Between sales targets, meetings, life outside of work, abundance can sometimes feel like a far off concept. But here's the thing. Abundance is not just about having more stuff or hitting bigger numbers. It's about feeling fulfilled and aligned in all areas of your life. And that is exactly what we are diving into today, because I recently read a great book. Actually, full transparency, it was Audible, but I loved it so much that I think I need to get the hard copy. It was called Abundant Ever After by Cathy. And I want to share some of the ideas here. In fact, if you want to check her out, cathyheller.com, you can get more information on her podcast, on the book, on all of the goodness that she is putting in the world. But today, we're going to have a little bit of insight into it. And I want you to pay attention because if you are feeling stuck in the grind, overwhelmed by your calendar, or maybe just wondering, when am I going to finally freaking figure this out? This episode is for you. Now, I'll start with a couple of key lessons that I'm taking away from the book, and then we will hop into some actions for you. So number one, you are the creator of your own abundance. And one of the biggest takeaways from Cathy's book is that abundance starts with you, not your boss, not your sales numbers, not your family, not the next big deal that you close. It is easy to think, once I hit the target, then I'll feel successful. Or once I hit that goal weight, then I'll feel better about myself. But Cathy flips that thinking on its head, and she reminds us that abundance is a mindset. It's about believing that you already have what it takes right now in this moment. And I see this all of the time with women in sales. We are conditioned to chase the next goal, the next quota. Listen, we go with the saying, right? You go from hero to zero for quarter to quarter. So we think oftentimes that that is where our worth lies. But what if you could feel abundant before you hit that next milestone? Imagine how much more powerful you would be walking into your next meeting with that kind of mindset. Really take some time. I want one of the action items today to be taking the time to think about that. What would you need to be thinking to step into that feeling of abundance and power before you even start the next meeting or the next activity? Okay, let's move on to the second one. Speaking of action, number 2, taking inspired action. This means we are not doing things because we're shooting on ourselves. I should do that. I should do that. I shouldn't do that. We are taking inspired action. And abundance doesn't mean sitting back and waiting for good things to fall into your lap. Cathy talks a lot about taking inspired action, moving towards what lights you up, even if it feels scary. So think about your sales career. How many times have you hesitated to make a call or maybe a pitch or go for a promotion or an idea because you were afraid of rejection? Listen, I've been there, right? But when you align with your purpose, whether that's helping a client solve a problem or building a life that feels meaningful to you, you start taking action from a place of confidence, not fear. And I think it's always so helpful to take action with the idea of who are you helping? Because when you shift the attention off of it being about you and onto the difference that you're making in the world, so many more opportunities will open up for you. And here's the secret. Action breeds clarity. You don't need to have everything figured out before you start. You just need to start taking step number 1. That's where the magic happens. And I've talked about this before. We build momentum as we go. We don't wait for momentum to give us the old kickstart, right? We start taking action, we learn, we move on. We take more action, we learn, we move on. Okay, now on to number 3. Key takeaway. Letting go of scarcity thinking. And this is a big one. Cathy challenges us to let go of scarcity thinking, the belief that there's not enough time, not enough money, not enough good opportunities to go around, right? What are all of the things that you say to yourself about not being enough? Let go of that. How often do you find yourself saying things like, I don't have enough time? I heard it at the meeting for sure. It's not a very useful thought that we tell ourselves. That mindset keeps you stuck. When you think you don't have enough time, often you feel overwhelmed. And there are so many things on your list of to-dos that you tell yourself, I don't know where to start. That is what keeps you stuck. But when you shift to abundance thinking, you start seeing possibilities instead of roadblocks. And trust me, I've seen this play out in my own life and business. There were times, especially when I first started, right, when I felt so overwhelmed, thinking there wasn't going to be enough time to grow my coaching practice while being in the high pressure device sales world that we live in. But once I shifted my mindset and I realized that I could create the time and space I needed, guess what? Everything changed. And the same is possible for you too. I also really, really, really loved the work around money mindset in this book. You would never say, for example, that there just isn't enough water in the ocean to go around, right? Why is it that we think money is such a limited resource? Why is it we think if I get more, someone else has less? We never think that about water in the ocean, right? Why is it that we think that around money? You know why? Because it has been the belief system, the beliefs that have been passed down to us. So maybe that is either from parents, teachers, society. It's all a story that we've been told. And in this moment, we get to decide, do we want to keep passing that story down? I love the idea of thinking it's okay to gain wealth. Because when more good people in the world get more money, guess what? They do more good things in the world. Isn't that such a fun thought to take up? Go ahead. I will share it with you. I think it's super useful. And I really loved the fact that this book, in general, is a great reminder that abundance is not about having perfect life. It's about finding strength, purpose, and fulfillment, even when life throws you curveballs. That's the kind of abundance that Cathy talks about. And it's what I want for you. It's about knowing what you want, believing it is possible, and taking inspired action from that mindset. So here is your next challenge for the week. Where in your life are you operating from scarcity? from not enoughness, from shitting on yourself? Is it around your time? Is it your confidence? Your belief in what is possible? Take a moment and write it down. And then flip the script. How can you reframe that scarcity into abundance? So maybe instead of saying, I don't have enough time, you say, I'm in control of how I spend my time. And if you don't feel like you're quite there yet, you can always add, I'm learning to. I'm learning to see how in control of my time I truly am. So make it work for you. Make it a sentence that you're flipping that you actually believe. And that small shift can make a world of difference and what is possible for you. All right, my friends, that is it for today's episode. Remember, abundance isn't something you wait for. It's something that you create. So whether it's in your career, your personal life, or just how you show up every day, you have the power to live abundantly right now. And reminder, check out Abundant Ever After by Cathy Heller. I so recommend it for you, and I'm recommending it for myself to read again. There are so many great gems of information, and I am sure this is just the tip of the iceberg. So please do check her out, cathyheller.com. And listen, if you are ready to dive deeper into creating an abundant life, I would love to support you through coaching. So let's work together to shift that mindset, take control of your calendar, and truly create the life that you want. A super easy way to get started is just download the free guide, How to Master Work-Life Balance Without Feeling Guilty at michelleburkecoaching.com/mytime. Once you have that, you will then be on my email list and you will have a direct line of communication to figuring out our next steps. Okay, friends, that's what I have for you today. Let's meet back next week. But for now, make it a great day. Take care. Did you know you can take this work to a deeper level with me one-on-one? Go to michelleburkecoaching.com and click on Get Started to begin.